It's just amazing that this stuff is still standing. I'm pretty sure they rebuilt this. There's no way this has been here for 1,800 years without falling down. You can just see based on some of the modern cement. But look at this marble. This was this archway that is now on the ground. Was most likely up on top here. And the great earthquake knocked all this stuff down. There's a lot of modern cement in there I can see within 50 to 75 years modern. And they've rebuilt this stuff because there's no way that stuff was left standing. And it's just, a statue was in the middle. I think this is probably what it looked like back in the old days when you were about to fight another city. Just walls of people. That's what it feels like. There's places in Ephesus that just don't make sense the way you see it now. But when you start to realize that there's a lot missing from time, these were probably houses, part of the terrace houses. Here we are at the crossroads of a couple streets. This is the Memmius monument, it says. Definitely looks like it was put back together the best they could figure out. Again, there's so many pieces missing. And here we have just gigantic rocks, so there's still much more to see. Standing underneath what looks like a fig tree. And there's figs that people can't reach. So the road, I have a feeling, has seen better days. This is really rough. If you have bad footing, this is probably not the best place for you. There's loose rocks. This stuff has been walked on by millions of people. It's shiny. You can see the footing is very, very unstable. So be careful. The rocks feel very firm now. And then don't forget to look up every once in a while because there's some really cool stuff. Here's an arch that's magically still there. I'm pretty sure that was rebuilt. A lot of this stuff just looks like it was put together by children that had no clue how it goes back. There's just so many broken pieces between earthquake and then people chiseling away at it over time. Things just don't go back together the same. But what's great, step down, is the ornateness of this. Again, we've seen this. This is in Perg and Side, all over. Same type of architecture. And here we have the little eggs. Maybe these are like little quail eggs. But there's still so much to see here. And again, just archways and things, that just pieces missing everywhere. Remnants of an opening that just doesn't make sense. It's almost out of place. It just doesn't seem to fit. Again, because you had a couple different cultures and civilizations in here over time. It's all just a mix mash of rocks, rubble, finished marble, just junk rock brick. You gotta use your imagination to what it really might have looked like, if even possible. See? And then you have archways like that connotate there was some kind of big building here. More ropes, which means don't go, but there's steps that lead up And then there's underground entrances that I want to explore, but we're not allowed to. So here we see two, what look like columns, but they're, to me, obvious arches. This was ceilings that were supported by columns that are no longer here. This is a column base, and there's obviously something here. There's a column base behind it. My guess is that these two were up above, and then we have a square one. So something is not right. Either they're rebuilding it wrong, because I don't think the cultures at the time would have made that mistake. And here you can see these are probably storage facilities of some sort. I found no ropes, so I'm allowed back here. Let's see what we got. Looks like piping. That's some serious piping. And these pipes, these are interesting. Look at how they fit together. Just inserted. And I'm guessing these are, they could be originals. It's pretty thick. It was meant to last a while. Just pieces. Here we have storage facility of rocks. Rocks and more rocks. So there's labeled rocks. So I'm in an area that the ropes are not, so I get to go check things out. Plus I see a path. There's these gated entryways. These look fairly freshly painted. The lock, it hasn't been opened in a while. But inside these storage units, there's a couple of them, are crates that are numbered and labeled. And I got a feeling there's a catalog somewhere in a museum that shows what was in it. Here's a leftover column that they don't know where it went yet. Some future generation will get in here and put this back together. Here's another entryway, or closed entryway. And you can see the rocks are still piled up, fresh in here. And you can see the numberings on the crates. My guess would be, it was taken in the year 1984. And again, there's just what looks like just pieces of rock, but it's shaped rock, not just garbage rock. I see remnants of columns. If we can see back in here. So we're looking at some of these carvings, and I'm looking at how did they get into here and do this stuff? They had to have some kind of special tooling to get in there, and that's hollow underneath, and then there's no way that's natural, obviously. But to get in here and chip this out and make it smooth, that took a while. And there's a lot of it. I'm just standing here. It's finally no crowds, and I'm looking at all this different rubble and formations and columns and the way they pile the rocks. And it's almost if children came and just piled this stuff together. It just doesn't make sense. And even my imagination, I'm trying to imagine a beautiful fountain straight ahead, maybe with a dome over the top. And there's just not enough rubble to even make sense of that, which means they probably moved it to areas like this, but there's not even enough rubble there to make sense of this stuff. Where did it go and what did it look like? And then we see modern reconstruction of arches. And it's 2 different, 3, 4 different layers. You've got marble at the bottom. You got some kind of rock, then more rocks and layers. It's just, they built on top of each other. And then this, and you wonder, is this just modern recreation based on what they found, or is it actual rock that fell? But I'm thinking that was poured. So this just was probably a storage area, maybe somebody's business. There's just a huge rock in here. Is that, and this is big. Huge. How they get it in here? There's gated off stuff everywhere. We see little columns. We see engraving. Again, just rubble pieces. It looks like the workers just threw the stuff in here. None of this stuff belongs here. This is just a storage area. Just waiting to be cataloged, back together. All kinds of different crates. This is just a basic room, and I see a lot of curved pieces. It looks like columns. I do see some chiseled items. And of course, junk. Stop throwing junk, people. This is a big storage area, not just for the past, but for the present. There's just pieces and parts strewn everywhere. This just looks like rock, but it is part of columns and leftover pieces. You can see here's pipes over here. Just leftover pipes that they found in pieces, parts. There's rooms, again, with all kinds of cool stuff. I don't know if I can get up here, but that looks like, ooh, that looks important, actually. Mausoleum, maybe? Here's another big storage area across from another theater. Wow. This just, it's big. Actually, I think we're almost at the end. So apparently I found the Inscriptions Museum that's closed. Well, I don't see locks, but there's a lock. It's fairly fresh. So I got a feeling this is going to be opened up soon. We'll go back in there easier. That's why it looks so nice from the window I found. We're going to go see about this theater. We'll call this the upper theater. So here's another upper walkway. This is by the upper gate. I believe they call it the south gate. And it's just remnants everywhere of stuff. The amount of money it would take to redo this, even close to Perg, has got to be, I'm going to say, in the billions. Here's what looks like a bath, a trough maybe. And just remnants of stuff everywhere. It would take 5 armies of people to come in here and clean this and get this ready for what, the future. We're just taking a leisurely stroll down the avenue, one of the avenues, and then you look to your left and you see this beautiful theater, what's left of it, with all the remnants of just stuff. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this pops up. Well, it's been here a while, so it just didn't pop up, it just came into our view. But this is the so-called fountain. I don't know why they call it that. This is called the so-called fountain. And it was based on an inscription. All right, what kind of technology do they actually have? Here we have corkscrews. Did they have some kind of special milling that we don't know about? This is incredible. This is just not something you figure out how to do haphazard. This is machined. It has to be machined. What do you think? So here we have what looks like 2 feet. And there's probably a big statue in here. By the size of those, there's probably about 8 to 10 foot size statue. And we have what looks like bracing parts that it might have done. And then I look at something that I've not seen anywhere in any ancient city. This curlicue design. This is really, really unique. This is special. How and what was this used for? How did they make this? Absolutely amazing. You can see the tooling marks in here from a catalog. Pretty sure it's from modern. And then I was looking to my right and I noticed fresh diggings. And I was so focused on the fresh diggings, what might be there, I realized that the theater is right through here. One of the theaters. And there are people in there, so it's not that big of a theater. You can see by the guys in there. It's not that big, but it's still pretty decent size. So again, more mysteries, but not really. So we were looking at this cool thing with the two lion heads. And then as you come up closer, you see the curvature in here. And I'm thinking this might be a basin. And then look at this. There it is. It goes through. So this might have been a gutter or some kind of flowway, but that would have been up high because then the lions would have been maybe part of a fountain. But again, where are the other pieces that match that? They're not here. Everything is just a mixed match of everything. The only closest fountain that we know of is the so-called fountain there. So we're kind of about here on this perspective. Sort of not, but that's the small theater. And we came up through that way. That was the big hill and the big theater. There's still so much we haven't seen yet. We walked by the theater. If I point, it's going to take it out. So we went up that hill here. This was the hill. And then it's a small theater. We're on the right side. This was big. Very, very big city. The terrace houses are right in the center there. It's a good idea because to start with some this big walkway here. I don't think we're allowed down there, but it goes to the sea, possibly that far, or a lake. There's more stuff. Oh, look at that. We haven't seen that yet. Their stadium.
Look, they put all the expensive houses in the middle of the city.
And they had the deep sewage system like about...
This is at the upper entrance to the city of Ephesus. We are now going to head back down. We're walking through the theater. And more remnants. See, they have the original piping from way back when. And it's just fields of this stuff. This was probably another Agora, possibly, but I don't see columns around it, except for there. There's probably baths up here, because coming into the Roman cities, you had to bathe to get rid of the disease. Here's storage that was obviously closed off at one point. The Basilica store. We're gonna go inside the Bollituran Theater. There's statues in here coming into the theater, a smaller theater with a cat saying hi. And here's the small theater. This was just a small one. Maybe this was their political area. I think maybe this was just a smaller area for meetings. And you can see based on the rocks that it was definitely rebuilt. And this is just like the backstage of the theater. It's starting to fill up with what looks like school-age children, teenagers. Maybe 1,000 people could fit in here. Got a feeling this is backstage area for people. They would enter in through here. And then We'll go upstairs. Let's see what's upstairs. More mystery carvings. Circles. No idea what those are.
All together with the surface.
There's probably buildings up there. I see somebody way up there by the tree line. Pretty far away. The old theater had to be just totally destroyed. And over time, they just rebuilt it. So now we're standing up on a parapet above where we just were. And you can see a lot more of the foundations. You can see this is a double height of storage areas. That upper was the Hall of Inscriptions, I believe they call it. I don't see any sarcophagi here at all. There's got to be some somewhere. I know they've taken a lot, but there would still be some. They usually don't take that. My guess is they're up on the mountains and just buried over time. You can see the Library of Celsus way out there, Celsus Library. And we need to walk way back down that way to get back to our car. And to go up there would be a real adventure. I don't think you're allowed up there. Only workers and goats and sheep and cats. So just walking along, and then you do always want to be forewarned that there are drop-offs. That's why they have these poles, and then boom, there it is. Celsus Library. So coming to Ephesus, you got to consider a few things. Is what time of the year you're coming. You come during crowded season. This is going to be crowded. Even now in the off season. This is actually it's Thanksgiving Day 2024. It's started fairly cool. It's still pretty cool, but you can see there's definitely some groups here. As far as the price goes for foreigners, it's 40 euros, and some people complain about that being expensive. I would argue that it's not, because the amount of money they need to fix this up so we can see even more of the past is definitely worth it. So you're not just spending money, you're investing in the future. And I know that may seem strange to some of you, but the sights you get to see here are pretty cool, and they will last you for a lifetime, especially with these cool posers. When you enter from up above, it's recommended, so they say you start downhill. The problem is you have to walk back uphill when you're exhausted. So on a hot day, definitely I would advise coming in from the lower and work your way up. Bring plenty of water. There is water at the top too, but it's just better to carry it. I just carry a backpack with extra batteries. I carry basic first aid stuff just in case. They have, notice on every sign in the video, they have ambulance, because there are some trip hazards here. I'm sure there's been a few people who have fallen down.
This one is not helping very well to protect everything.
Again, part of the fees they charge to go into the terrace house is 15 euros. And then you get to go in there and probably walk on manufactured stairs overlooking the ruins. It's probably tens of millions of dollars spent just to build this area and excavate it. Coming from the upper entrance to the Celsus Library, this is what you see. Now imagine 1800 years ago, before the earthquake, this would have been a complete building, and there would have been sides to it, a roof to it. There would have been statues up above. The statues are most likely in the museum here and in the Italia Museum. And what a sight this had to be. Absolutely beautiful. All right, we need some help. Who knows what this symbol is? This is in Ephesus. And we found this one, and we found this one. So somebody do some work on this and put it in the comment. Let us know what you find. Wall, columns. This had to be beyond impressive back in the day. Walking towards the terrace houses. But across the way here, it's very different. Very different. So either they took the walls away, or just to my left was very special. The Agora is on the other side to my left. And then you have those strange carvings in here, and they make no sense as to why they did those. So who knows, mechanically speaking, why did they carve these holes? Strange. The big theater at Ephesus. You can see the damage from the earthquake in 278 and how much work they've done to even get it back this far. So much work, so much money, so much time. No, they don't have pigeons, they got cats. You sit down to eat outside, you gotta pay your dues. Surrounded. These are milestone markers that they used. Obviously the color's new, but they like to tell people where they were, where they're going, depending on who was there. There's some writing in here. It's kind of hard to see, but there's carving in there. This one's been worn out. These are not gravestones, they're milestones. And these would have been every so often. And this is what's left of them, or some of them. So there's a herd of cats here, and I got a feeling that she's the reason. Oh. They are everywhere, and these are big ones. These are not kittens. Well, maybe this one is. The one place I really wanted to go was the old harbor. You can see it on Google Earth. I'll show you an overlay here. And just looking at that, it's all marshland now. But that marshland, that old harbor, you got there way down that way. That's probably a good kilometer or more. It was a bath gymnasium. Again, people coming in on the harbor and the ships, they would have bathed them to get rid of any potential disease. And there's a river that would have been attached to that harbor. And then the sea is, I believe, 5 miles that way, heading to the west. Here's some sarcophagi, very plain, very average, not ornate. I don't think this is where they were originally, but this field could have been packed with them. This reminds me, you can see the guy out here, that this could have been quite a few sarcophagi for regular people. We're gonna head to the Church of Mary. It's out in the middle of a field. This is the Church of Mary out this way.